All right, ladies. My mom used to say, find a man that treats his mom good. And that was the ticket. Because if he loves his mama, he is definitely going to love you. But guess what? It goes so much deeper than that. We're about to talk about the mama effect and how it shows up in your relationship. Let's go.
Mama. One. What up, though, family? Welcome back to Table for Two with Mike and Cherie. This is the spot where we serve up the raw truth about marriage and relationships with no filters and absolutely never no chasers.
We're talking about trending topics like love, loyalty, and those petty little arguments that start over nothing.
Like the one we just had. We're not relationship gurus
Did.
with all the answers.
We're just two people trying not to kill each other while staying in love, and it's hard.
We appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you like our content, please hit the like bell and subscribe to get notified when we drop new episodes. Share it out, do all the things. Got to get this popping because we poor and we trying to make this thing work. You know what I'm saying? So we can get a little commercial or endorsement or something. Like, come on, man.
All right, now that we got that out the way, let's pull up a chair
And let's get into it.
All right, let me start off by saying, moms, because I am a mom, we are not here to mom bash. Not by any means. We love all the moms. We know y'all doing the most. Y'all putting forth all the effort. So we are just talking about parental patterns and how they affect our lives, how they affect our children's lives. And specifically, we are talking today about men. So let's get into our subject today.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Let's start by talking about the emotional blueprint. Okay? Every man grows up with an emotional blueprint, and his mom is usually the first person who helps draw that blueprint. Now, what does that blueprint teach him? It teaches him what love feels like, whether emotions are safe, how conflict works, whether he feels valued or not, validation, and boundaries or lack thereof.
So that foundation is shaky. He doesn't grow out of it. He carries it on to adulthood, right? So just say, for instance, you know, I've seen different things. You know, I've growing up and being around guys that come from single family homes, as well as, you know, having both parents in the home.
Right.
And it's kind of a significant difference. Like I said, shout out to the moms. I know y'all be doing y'all thing and whatever, but it's a difference when there's not a man in the house.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. Because I definitely have my dad around, but I do feel like we tend to bond with our moms because that is our first and primary relationship. And I feel like that is who we, kind of look to. I haven't looked up any studies or anything on it, but I definitely feel like that is a significant force
Oh,
in
absolutely.
how we move forward
My mom
in
definitely.
our lives and our relationships.
Yeah, my mom definitely molded me in a lot of different ways. But I got things that I got my, I would say my softness, my consideration of others and all that kind of stuff, and my willingness to help and all that good stuff, probably from my mom.
Absolutely.
But then I got other qualities, from my dad being around,
Right.
as far as like how to be a man, how to provide for a household, how to, do whatever you got to do for your family.
Right.
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 A lot of times, and this is just my opinion, a lot of times, I hate to say it, a lot of times when guys are raised by women, they take on some different kind of traits other than.
But I think some of those can be a good thing, but maybe not always good. It sounds like you're sounding kind of negative with regard to that.
It don't have to
or-
necessarily be negative, but I don't think that necessarily a man can be taught how to be a man by a woman. Y'all can definitely teach us some good qualities, like, how to conflict resolution. You can teach us how to be softer, how to be kinder, how to be gentler, how to treat a woman from a woman's perspective, and multiple other things. But I think there's other things that women may not be as good at, as far as teaching a man how to be a man.
Okay.
And a lot of men grow up, a different kind of way because of that.
Okay. That's fair. That's definitely
But
valid.
it's not a knock on women. I just think that it's just how it is.
And we are not here today knocking moms because we love moms.
No, we definitely love moms.
I'm a mom.
Mama.
The problem is that most people don't realize they're reacting from whatever they learned or whatever that mom-son dynamic was, or the old programming
For sure.
of that, which is not inherently a bad thing. It just might not be the thing that makes your relationship great right now, where we are right now, because things have evolved so much with the emotional intelligence boom. I don't know if that's a word.
The emotional
But
intelligence
the emotional
boom.
intelligence boom, I mean, it's been helpful. But I don't know if that's the most helpful thing right now as far as how we used to learn. But how does this dynamic or how you were raised show up in relationships?
It can affect the way that, it can influence, how he handles conflict, how he responds to emotion need, whether he avoids vulnerability or whether he expects to be mothered.
Mothered?
Yeah.
Who wants to be moms? Nobody wants to be moms.
Shit, sometimes I do. Sometimes.
You definitely want to be moms.
Yeah,
sometimes.
with them, yeah.
So how does this? All right. Oh my God.
You know how I want to be mom.
You definitely want to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Does being mother mean being taken care of, or does it go deeper than that?
I think being taken care of to me is not like being taken care of in a mother kind of way. It's just being taken care of in the way that I'm gonna take care of you. In a sense, I know it's different, but at the same time, it's the same, right?
So we definitely need to have some nurturing ability. That might be hard depending on how we were raised, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
So how does that actually show up in a relationship?
It shapes the dynamic. You'll often see patterns like one person needing closeness, the other pulling away.
Right.
Miscommunication around emotions. What I mean by that is, you may come off angry when you're sad.
Oh my God, that's
frustrated.
important.
You may come off mad when you're frustrated.
So I think and this is just a little bit off subject, but I think a lot of emotions come off as anger versus what the actual emotion is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of times people don't know what their actual emotion is because maybe they have not been given the opportunity to express that emotion versus just showing up as anger.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
A lot of times it's not about the current relationship. It's about what feels familiar.
And is anger something that feels familiar when we're young?
If you have an angry mom, you're good, right?
Or maybe not even an angry mom, because I remember as my kids, I just wanted to take a poll because I wanted to see what happened. I said, if I could do anything different in your childhood, what would that look like? And one of my kids told me, like, Mommy, you were really angry between the ages of this and decisions. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. All I could do was apologize because I do remember she said you were mean. And so what is that? Like, how does that show up? And like, what does that mean moving forward for them? It's like, if you're mean, they're shutting down because
they can't
express themselves.
Right. So
right.
So
I can clearly say that I completely messed up with my children. And if I could do it again, I'm just telling y'all, I would definitely do a restart button. I would do a reset. I would do a reboot. I would do everything. But unfortunately, under the circumstances, that's what happened. So what does that look like for whoever they're in a relationship with?
Right.
Crazy. I'm sorry to every future daughter-in-law, girlfriend, whatever. I'm just saying. I'm sorry. My apologies.
Let's talk about the mama's boy. This is where boundaries are weak
Not the mama's boy.
or non-existent. His mom may still have emotional control or influence over him.
Mm-hmm.
So here are some of the signs that you might see if you got a mama's boy. Mom is overly involved in his life.
Tragic.
He needs her approval for everything.
Tragic.
She suddenly competes with his partners.
Tragic.
He tells her all your business.
Tragic.
What was that show? Damn, what was that show with Terrence J on it? It was a movie with Terrence J on it, and he was a mama's boy in the movie.
Oh, it was so good.
And like the mom wasn't getting along with the girl he was supposed to marry or something.
It wasn't Jump the Broom, was it?
Nah, I don't think. If y'all know in the comments, like let us know what that movie was because I cannot remember
we cannot remember
the name of that movie. It wasn't Jump the
was
Broom with Terrence J.
And it was.
He was getting married.
I remember, and it was a great movie. She had a son.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't know the movie.
Let us know the name of that movie. But
right.
He was a straight up
Drop
mama's
it in
boy
the comments.
in that
Drop
movie.
it in the comments, and he could not stand up for his partner, so that was a problem. That is an example of a mom being overly involved.
Perfect example of
in the son's life.
Perfect
Mama's
example.
boy. He could not take up for himself.
At all.
Sorry, Terrence J. All right.
So in a relationship, it shows up as him struggling to prioritize his partner. He may seek his mom's approval over his partner's needs. Conflict becomes triangulated. You know, mom is always in the mix. He feels guilty putting you first. Avoids conflict with her, but confronts you. He may expect nurturing instead of a partnership out of you.
Yep. This is definitely going to create a problem in your relationship. All these things are going to create problems in a relationship. I hope that we, as parents, never become the parents that are in that space because it's not healthy. Okay. And nobody needs that in their relationships. Period, point blank.
True. Facts. Next, let's talk about the emotional distance son.
This often comes from a mom who was unavailable, critical, or even inconsistent. So he learns that it's safer not to feel anything or maybe not to feel much at all. So what are the signs of this when somebody's emotionally unavailable?
He could be cold or detached from his mom. History of neglect or criticism could show up.
Right.
Doesn't open up about his childhood because maybe he's just like, I don't want to talk about it because it wasn't that good.
Always don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Or minimizes his own feelings because he never had a place where he could just express himself and open up.
Okay. So in relationships, what does that look like as far as the man avoiding feelings?
Avoiding deep conversations. Shutting down during conflict. They don't want to talk about it. Struggling with vulnerability. They can't tell you how they feel. You know, doesn't know how to express their needs. So he wants things from you, but he can't express those things to you.
Right. So it's like a struggle for both people, right?
Yeah. It may also look like being cold or detached.
Okay. So this is basically an extension of emotional distance, but maybe even being more disconnected because it's your partner and maybe not so something familiar to you.
Right.
Okay.
He may come off as indifferent or unaffected.
That makes sense. So underneath, that's often, even though those feelings might occur, that's often unresolved hurt. But a lot of times, since it's buried so deeply within that person, it may show up as numbness or coldness or maybe detachment. Or he may say, I don't care. I don't care. Right? So if a person, i.e. what we're talking about right now, a son or a man, couldn't show up and safely express his emotions when he was growing up, how is that supposed to magically appear in a relationship? How does that person do it now?
I feel like you'd have to have some serious self-reflection or be able to talk to somebody who can, you know, explain to you why you are the way you are. And it has to make logical sense to that person. And they have to be able to, you know, have some self-reflection and emotional intelligence to be able to look at themselves and say, oh, yeah, I can see that.
And this is not to be offensive, but I feel like that's something that's going to be really hard for a man.
It's
to
hard for
do.
everybody. It's not just men. It's hard for women to do it.
Okay. I do believe that, but I feel like
It's hard for
that
women to
might
look
be
inside
like
and say
more of
that
a
they're the
tough,
problem.
I'm not saying a problem, but I'm saying I feel like it's very hard for a man to look at himself and say, I don't have these things that I need to make this relationship better.
It's hard for everybody to do that, including
It
women.
is. It
I'm not
is.
gonna
It
just stick
is.
that on men. Come on,
I
guys.
mean,
What y'all think about that?
okay.
Cap, right?
Comment. We love it.
Stupid
We
cap,
know
bro.
it. It's gonna be
Women be
some
having
negative.
some
It's gonna be some
crazy
negative comments, and we
issues.
already know what's happening right now. But put them in our comments. We're welcoming them, and we are open to them. All right. Now we're about to talk about the helicopter son, the overprotected son. What are the signs of that? And I know that as a mom, I am guilty. Here are some signs. He might have been shielded from consequences or catered to. The mom fixed everything, and the son is rarely held accountable. So now that he's in a relationship, he struggles with responsibility. He expects his partner to manage his life. He avoids accountability. And then he has low frustration tolerance. And it can feel like for women that we're parenting instead of partnering. That's a
That,
struggle.
yeah, that sucks. Nobody, I'm sure, no woman out there wants to deal with that. For real,
Right.
for real. All right. So, what does healthy attachment comes from a balanced relationship with mom, where there was love but also boundaries. Right? She didn't let you get away with murder, but she didn't abuse you.
Oh boy. Is
You
that gentle
know,
parenting?
when you were wrong, she told you was wrong. There was consequences for your actions, right? She didn't give you everything that you wanted in life. She made you work for some things, right?
So how does that show up as far as like now with a man and the positive signs of that parenting?
That man typically is emotionally available. He can communicate openly. He handles conflict without shutting down or exploding, right? He maintains independence while still connecting deeply.
So that means he doesn't need his partner to fix him or to complete him. He shows up as a whole. So let's get into the solutions because this is where people can actually experience growth. First of all, awareness is a thing. You have to actually recognize your pattern. So, what questions can you ask yourself in order to recognize these patterns? Do I shut down? Do I avoid conflict? Do I struggle with boundaries?
Interesting.
Yeah, these are very self reflective questions that need to be
Do I struggle with boundaries?
asked. Yes, you do. This is not true. This is not true comes up. This is not the true comes up.
Separate past from present. Your partner is not your mom, but if you don't process the past, you'll treat them like they are. Build emotional skills. That means learning to express feelings, practicing vulnerability, and communicating instead of withdrawing.
That's right. Set boundaries, especially if there is still unhealthy involvement from the mom. The biggest one is, and this is the hugest one, a lot of people don't want to hear this, it's the T word do inner work, i.e., therapy, reflection, honest conversations. And this is how we can actually change patterns that we developed as younger people.
So, if you're in a relationship with someone who displays some of these patterns, what do you think you should do as a
Well, as a
woman?
partner,
Oh,
as a
partner.
partner, a woman, we can be supportive with growth. We don't have to take on the role of the actual healer. We can look for effort. It's not going to be perfection, but definitely look for effort because I feel like that is the part that a lot of times we kind of move past or we try to like look past. And if there's no effort, there's not going to be any growth, period, point blank. We have to be honest, and that is where we have to be honest with ourselves. If nothing is changing, there's not going to be any changing, Period. That's it.
If
If
there's
there's
no
nothing changing,
then there's
there's no
nothing changing.
Yep. You decide if you want to live with that. That's absolutely up to each and every person, because a lot of times we struggle with maybe not being with that person because we love so deeply. And that's okay if that's what you're willing to deal with.
I saw this Instagram post. I think was it yesterday or this morning? I can't remember. Anyway, this girl, she in the bathroom and she doing her makeup, right? So guy comes in like, babe, I need to use the car.
Mm-hmm.
So he gives her the car keys. And he come back, babe, can I get some money? I want to put a bet on the game. So he give her some. I need $500. So he give her $500. Then he come back. The whole time she put on her makeup, and he's like, babe, can I do this? You know, babe, I need this, I need that. And every time, so after the last time, she put like this red wig on, and she put like a clown nose on and clown makeup. Like, damn, I've been a clown this whole time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because that guy.
Exactly. Playing in her face.
Yeah, but that's that mom womb. Like, he's used to going to his mom and asking for stuff.
I love that.
And he was doing it to his girl.
That's a great example.
Yeah. So.
Absolutely great example. But yes, absolutely. And we have to decide, ladies, whether or not we are going to continue those patterns of unhealthy behavior. Not that everybody comes to us this way, but it's definitely something.
And I feel like the guys have to realize that that's not cool. You know what I mean? And make some changes in yourselves too, if that's the case. I'm not saying every guy is like that, but you know, some of us are.
But it's hard, especially if that's how you've been raised. That's literally your first primary relationship. That is what you're going to base all of your relationships on moving forward. So how do you know that that's not proper if you don't know that that's not proper?
No, I agree.
Okay? Yeah. So I'm not blaming. All I'm saying is that we got to figure it out and do better.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. So we're going to get into this last segment. This is The Truth Comes Out. This is where we ask each other a couple questions, see who's capping, see who's keeping it a buck. Mm-hmm. And I think I got the first question tonight, so I'm going to go first.
Do it.
All right. Do you think some women try to become the mom in a relationship?
Absolutely. And I'm not blaming them, because I know that a lot of times in the dynamic of families, they have been given this role, and it's hard to get out of that mom role or that taking care of, nurturing role, because I also can relate to that, because that was how I was given that role in life. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. You're saying that you were given that role early in life, so you could actually see
I'm
yourself
a nurturer, and you can, and you can, and that mom role becomes an enabler role. Mm-hmm. That's the problem.
Do you feel like you enable me?
I don't need to enable you. You don't need anything.
Well,
but if I was with a different person, it actually could absolutely, at my younger age, become a problem.
Mm-hmm. I see that.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a relationship where you was the mama's boy?
I don't think I've ever been in a relationship where I was a mama's boy. To me, that means I was getting taken care of and getting bought stuff and going to the mall and getting vacations paid for, and like, you know what I mean, being spoiled.
I mean, it can show up in other ways. It doesn't have to necessarily be. It could maybe be an enabling in a sense of like, maybe you don't have to touch anything. Maybe you don't have to do anything around the house. Maybe that person just provided everything for you. Because I remember one time you told me that like you had a person like ironed your clothes, and you did, and that seemed to be something that was like your favorite. They ironed your clothes. They like took care of you.
Yeah.
You favored that relationship a lot because you talked about that.
Yeah. But it wasn't a mama's boy thing. It was a woman that knew how to be a woman to a man, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like she was, giving me money and stuff like that. I was doing what I was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And I felt like she was in turn doing the things that an old school partner would do in a relationship. Folding clothes, cleaning the house, cooking, bringing me a plate. I don't feel like that's mama stuff. I feel like that's stuff that a woman should be doing. Just like y'all feel like a man should be, providing.
There's different various scenarios and situations regarding this. Unfortunately, this podcast is not about that.
Cut me off.
So there's not that. No, I didn't cut you off.
You definitely cut me off.
Thought that was interesting.
Fellas, she cut me off, right? Because she didn't want to hear that about being a traditional wife. That's traditional wife stuff. That's not like mama stuff.
Okay.
But y'all can debate that in the comments. Y'all let me know. Y'all think folding the man's clothes and cooking and bringing them dinner is like mom wound? Because what else are y'all supposed to do? Your relationship with your mom may have shaped you. Hopefully that's a good thing. But if not, it doesn't have to define like who you are and how you love. Patterns can be unlearned, and healthy relationships can be built with intention. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Table for Two with another couple who needs this conversation. Subscribe for more real relationship tools with zero fluff. This has been Table for Two, and we'll see you at the next sit down. Peace.
Peace.